So I wanted to, well, I hope that before I go on, I hope you're all well in this morning, and are appreciating yourself in your dedication to awakening. And what's that for? Can you see something you shouldn't be seeing?
I was just getting the support for the...
Oh, thank you. So, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the relationship between two aspects of mindfulness that we all have said, but we haven't very specifically named, and that is general comprehension. The Buddha talks about it in the Satipatthana Sutta, the 4 foundations of mindfulness that I read to you from yesterday evening, and bare attention. And you already perhaps have a sense of the difference of those two. So, and it makes sense. So general comprehension is what it says actually, which is it's a more open understanding of where we are, what our purpose is, what we're doing, and whether it's appropriate or not, or timely or not. And that understanding is, when awareness is full, is part of every moment, so that there's the sense of, I know what I'm doing. I mean, even if what's happening is like bloody hell, really, yet I know that this is the calling for healing. I know that's why I'm sitting and in a slightly uncomfortable position, because there's no comfortable position, and calling forth with the support of the Sangha this capacity to understand what I'm doing. So the other aspect of mindfulness is bare attention, and bare attention is the capacity to discern the particularities of the experience without any distortion. So in a way, a very traditional example of bare attention is that our minds are like a mirror, reflecting back as witnessing or being placed near exactly what's happening. So for example, at the moment, if I turn bare attention to my sitting, the first thing that comes to me is a stretching in my leg, and I understand exactly the length of it. I discerning that it's a little hot, that it's kind of a vibration and a tightness, and a little painful. And now it's gone. So bare attention is that capacity to notice the particular details of every experience, just as they are, without interpretation, without a story. And we know saying that is like a really big deal, because so many times, not around this right now, but for example around my stomach, because I've been experiencing a lot of challenges or difficulty with my digestion system. Like, you know, I would feel nauseous and I would feel dizzy, and then I'd be like, oh my God, should I go to the hospital? And God, I'm right here in southern Colorado, and you know, where is there a hospital? And should I end the retreat? Do I need to? And so simple sensations, right, of nausea and dizziness become this big story about this and that and where the hospitals are, and then I'm questioning the whole retreat, and then Who knows what the whole next cycle is? And and we can spend a long time doing that, and maybe not so long in a meditation practice like this, but in our lives, I can take my early morning walk, and I'm on the way back before I realize I spent the whole time walking there in this whole rumination about something or other, whatever it is. So we really can contemplate and respond to that beautiful invitation of this quality of bare attention, of noting the experience without interpretation and without what are called karmic formations, without the stories popping up and investing in the stories, no matter what the stories are. And that in that process of noticing the bare experience of stretching, heaviness, nausea, dizziness, that is held in the larger context of general comprehension, this aspect of mindfulness that understands that my intention for healing and for liberation rests on the three refuges, rests on my faith that in any moment I am connecting to this understanding that I have the capacity to do this, taking refuge in the Buddha. That in any moment it's not just this one sensation that I'm interested in, but the whole context of the path, the practice of the Dharma. That in this moment I'm committed to the precepts of not harming. Not harming life means not harming myself. And not harming myself means refraining from the habitual patterns of going into negative thinking. So just with that moment of the breath, it isn't this like total tunnel vision, but this knowing in the understanding, and it's sort of more in the background, but in the understanding of, oh, this is the whole of the path that I am calling into being in this moment. So my right intention, that I have this intention that is supportive of liberation and healing. That quality, of course, then, of some interest and caring and relatedness to myself as a whole being, rather than I'm on an exercise to beat this damn thing and get it, right? I mean, and if that arises, that's fine too, and we know it. We know it in this context. Oh, conditioned perfectionism, conditioned striving, no problem, I know that so well, right? And it's the general comprehension that discerns, I notice in that moment my mind is contracted. So there's that a sensitivity to that, and then I might turn my bare attention to how the contraction is living in my body. How is that for me? Here's the pushing. I can feel the contraction in my body behind my eyes and maybe around my forehead and maybe in the tightness in my back or shoulders or wherever it is that you tend to experience that kind of pushing. And then there's that discernment of how that lives in my body, and I'm giving it space. I'm giving it space. And I know why I'm giving it space. And it might be that in this holding of the environment in which to feel the contraction, you are there present as well. I'm with Sangha. And if we aren't in the Zoom room, then it's the larger Sangha of life, of the world, of the trees, or of our Sangha that we're relating to, but they're not in the room with us. directly inhabiting the room. That we're not doing it alone, that there is always a community of beings who are practicing. So we're holding these, and it, and so the refuges are part of the purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing. This vision of liberation, or imagination of liberation, or intuition. And then that's the question, that's supporting, carrying the inquiry that these teachings ask us. Why are you doing this? What is the purpose? And then is this suitable? Yes, I'm on retreat. It's totally suitable. If the house was burning down, no, it wouldn't be suitable. I wouldn't be sitting here comprehending the experience. I'd be running out of the house. So is this practice suitable at the moment? Yes, it's suitable. Is it appropriate and timely? Yes, appropriate and timely. And there are times when it hasn't been timely. So I remember, this was in my first marriage, when I went to a Goenka retreat. It was my second retreat. And he was very emphatic about meditating 2 hours a day. And so I was like, I'm meditating 2 hours a day. And my wife would say, because, it would be after work, she'd be like, I come back from work and you're meditating for an hour and it's dinner time. And, and it was like, and I was like, no, I can't do it any later. I'll fall asleep. I have to do it. So in my youthful enthusiasm, I was choosing to do it at a time that really wasn't appropriate for our marriage and our relationship. So, it's not always the right time. And so we compromised on my second hour of practice, when it would happen. So, do I know the purpose? Is it timely? Is it appropriate? Is it suitable? And then do I comprehend in that whole atmosphere, do I comprehend the whole posture? Whatever posture I'm in, do I comprehend it? And in that context then comes the discernment of more of the details of the experience. And we can stay in general comprehension, like the recollection that I talked about in Cultivating Joy. That is a whole practice in itself, in taking the refuges and recollecting them over and over again, or in recollecting any of those 11 recollections I gave you. We can stay in general comprehension, and that's part of the practice. Sometimes we get so tight in thinking, what is meditation? Especially because the way this culture has taken up mindfulness, it's taken up it a lot as a particular technology to work with pain, mindfulness-based stress reduction, and it's left the whole path out, which is partly what I'm talking about now, that frames every moment of what we're doing. And then that can give us so much confidence, especially when we're working with difficulties. Because we're not so zeroed in on the difficulty that we've lost the context of, oh, yeah, I'm here. I'm practicing my capacity. I'm practicing. I'm not already there. I don't expect I should be fully awakened, because I'm not. I'm practicing my capacity to trust. I can hold this. And if I can't, then I'm learning that. I'm comprehending that. And so then just one other aspect of this is that when we are in bare attention, noticing the sensations, don't forget to look at the qualities in the mind. What is the quality of my mindfulness? Am I relaxed? Am I tight? Am I striving? Am I drifting away? Do I have some subtle comparison picture in my mind about how I think this should be? Of course we're going to notice all these things because that's the nature of the habitual mind, and we're not fully awakened. And it is in noticing these aspects of our mind that the noticing begins to heal. Just that, just noticing, even if it doesn't feel like that in the beginning. But it is what the purification process, I know some people don't like that word, but I love it because it's like a water purifier. It's taking everything that doesn't enhance the healing of water away, that is not healthy. So that's what we're doing. And sometimes, sometimes we're just sitting with our eyes open because we're like, oh, I comprehend my mind has no resilience and capacity to actually focus on anything. And that's being on the path. I understand that. And I can turn and look out the window. And I can just keep like hanging out, looking at the window, looking through the window. And that's still practice. Responding with care to what's happening in the moment. I'm so passionate about it. I didn't realize I felt so passionate about this, but I guess I am. Let's see. So, and then I just want to go back to make one more connection to the talk last night about impermanence and death and dying, which is when we die, we have to leave everything behind. And what we don't leave behind is our minds. If you can take this as something to inquire into if it doesn't resonate for you, and it doesn't mean you can't practice the teachings, to believe that there is something that is passed from our death into our rebirth. And the Buddha says we take our karma. That is the only thing we take with our death. And our karma means our mind state. And so we can, from this perspective, all the ones I've been saying, but from this perspective, we understand, oh, that's why it's so important, not only to notice the experience, and yesterday we talked about arising and passing, but to keep on noticing the quality of mind in the noticing. Right? So to not to just turn that part off, because it's the quality of mind in the end we're cultivating. We won't have breath when we die, but we will have our mind, according to the Buddha. So who knows that they say the fully awakened beings actually can see all their past rebirths. And the Buddha did. He saw every single life he lived for eons, every single one. And it was discerning that became the grounds for his understanding his deep understanding, and he awakened after that, after discerning here all my lives and what has been the connection, the connecting, I'm not going to say thread because it makes it physical, but the connecting energy. And it was like, oh, karma isn't predetermined, it isn't set, it's not linear, deeply complex and conditional, and in it comes the understanding of the power of cultivating wholesome mind states to support freedom and liberation, or the mind states that are liberating. Say it that way. And when we turn towards our mind, then we are training ourselves to notice, oh, is this what I want to support? And it's subtle sometimes, right? Like this morning I was sitting and I just saw the subtle, this mind that just didn't fully want to accept the moment's experience. And I was so happy to discern that, like, oh yeah, I don't want that to continue. I'm so happy to discern you and know you. Because then I don't have to feed it. I don't have to continue in that way. Okay. Should we practice? So just taking time for how you like to orient. That sense of I'm here, thank you for being here in this moment right now. Let's see if you would like to take a moment to comprehend or reflect on why you're here in your own words, or ways of making that connection. And then appreciating that. And comprehending then your posture. Noticing how that is for your mind. Understanding that in this moment, what we're orienting towards is suitable and appropriate, timely, safe. We know we're in alignment and can relax in that way. And supporting this intention to relax, to let go of striving, to let go of wanting it to be different. And if that's not possible, then just notice if there is striving or wanting. And that's what we know then. Coming back to the whole body, sensing the touch of cloth against the skin. See where that's most noticeable for you. That means now listening in to the sensations of touch. It's most noticeable for me in my legs because the cloth is stretched there. And then the touch of air. See if, as you notice the touch of cloth or air, how is it as you discern a little deeper into the body? Like, is it warm or cold? Just like 2% or 3% of this knowing is holding this more open relaxation of what I'm doing is wholesome, dedicated towards healing and liberation, appropriate. And in that sense, we're not like going in like a drill towards the sensation of heat or coldness, but more receiving that life. And staying with it and see if you can notice the details of it. Relaxing the mind, letting it happen. Or whatever is predominant, there might be something different that is predominant, and so that's what we're listening to. And like the individual notes of the melody of the experience. Sustaining our connection. Let's all together, for support, go to the tongue and notice the wetness surrounding the tongue. It's interesting, the quality of wetness. And it's not, again, that I'm just knowing wetness as wetness, but that it's dedicated towards my liberation, this knowing. See what a difference that makes, or maybe not. And the touch of the tongue against the roof of the mouth, that touch. And the touch of lips, very soft. Careful not to go into thinking. Staying connected. And see if you can feel the touch of teeth against the gums. Relaxed. Understanding why we're doing this. And then either continuing in this way or connecting with your breath. remembering our purpose, allowing the sensations to happen in that context. Thank you.